Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil amin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Alhamdulillah. Pertama sekali selamat datang saya ucapkan kepada Dr. Waffie. Welcome to our mosque, Dr. Waffie. Alhamdulillah, kita bersyukur kepada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala mana malam berbahagia ini kita dapat berkumpul dalam satu majlis syarahan yang akan disampaikan oleh pensyarah kita Dr. Waffie, dan mudah-mudahan kehadirannya beliau akan memberi satu cahaya nur di rumah Allah ini. Dan saya sebagai wakil daripada Masjid Darussalam mengucapkan terima kasih kepada anda semua yang turut hadir beserta dalam majlis ini, dan mudah-mudahan kita semua mendapat keberkatan dari Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Dan sebelum kita mulakan majlis ini, bersama kita menuju Fatihah kepada Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam serta ahli keluarganya, para sahabat-sahabatnya. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Alhamdulillah, saya sebagai wakil dari Masjid Darussalam ingin mengucapkan terima kasih sekali lagi, dan tanpa buang masa saya akan menjemput dari pegawai dan welcome untuk memberi sepatah dua kata. Fadhal masykuran. Silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala mursalin wa ala alihi wasahbihi ajma'in. On behalf of the Rakam, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Markaz. We'd like to say thank you to you for coming to the talk. Today's title is Islam in Caribbean. Dr. Waffie Mohammed is a visiting scholar under the invitation of the Rakam Singapore. And just a brief background about him. He's a Dari actually in Trinidad and Tobago. He's got PhD, doctorate in comparative knowledge of Islam, comparative religion, and he has done a lot of work in the field of getting the non-Muslims to know about Islam in Trinidad and Tobago. He has been a director in Trinidad and Tobago in Arabita, and I think the list can go on and on what he has done over there. But inshallah, Dr. Waffie will have a session with you today, and after that session you will have the opportunity to do the Q&A. It is planned with the mosque to do the Q&A after Isha praise. So inshallah we will not waste any more time, and I'd like to invite Dr. Waffie Mohammed to come to the rostrum. Dr. Waffie, please.
Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil karim wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. My dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, Islam teaches us that if we want to understand something of the working of Allah, He says, "Siru fil ard, fanzur." Travel in the earth, and then you will see. You will see, for example, what happens to tribes and nations of the past. Where are they? What was their belief? What was everything else? Because Islam wants us to know, to be familiar with the ups and downs of human beings, the rise and fall of nations. Why? Because it will help us to grow in faith, and it will help us to understand that we came from Allah, to Him is our return. There is no doubt about the fact that America is very far from here. According to scientific research, once upon a time, America was joined to Asia and Africa. But because of geographical earth movements and so on, America separated. Okay? The people who are in America, they continue to remain there. Then we have a problem comes up, and that is, Allah says in the Quran, وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. Every nation, every tribe, they have guidance. Did the people of America get guidance from Allah? Is that a question? When you will study history, you will see that before Islam was formally introduced, hundreds of years later, Muslims visited the American continent. And Islam was there. For example, when Christopher Columbus went, he saw mosques in Haiti. You don't find that in the record just like that. Because the people have a way of keeping out certain important information. So, with the geographical movement and the separation of America from the eastern continent, you had something else happen. Some parts of that land sank, and only the top remained, and those tops of the mountains that remain, they are called the Caribbean Islands. So the Caribbean Islands, they are thousands of islands from Florida in North America to Venezuela in South America in a curve. The island from which I am, is called Trinidad. Trinidad and Tobago. There are two islands which form the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. That is this most southerly island. It is near to Venezuela in South America, 7 miles from Venezuela. Actually, from Trinidad, we see the mountains in Venezuela on a clear sky. Brothers and sisters. So you understand, from where I am today, to stand before you to speak, you need to know one other thing. That is the other side of the world. Why? Because you all here are exactly 12 hours ahead of us. So if it is, for example, 6:45 here in Singapore, in the evening, it will be 6:45 in the morning. I mean, Friday morning in Trinidad and Tobago right now. You see? We understand these things and we know about the greatness of Allah and the working of Allah. So when you are praying Maghrib, we will be praying Fajr before, you see. So my dear friends, we have now the Caribbean Islands. The Caribbean Islands were formed, and the Caribbean Islands, they had a peculiar type of people before the Africans and the Indians and the European and so on went there. They were called Carib and Arawak. The Caribs were, and they used to dress like, you know, the Aborigines of Australia and New Zealand, just as a small loincloth, men. And they used to put on a lot of beads and all these things. And they used to be like that. They used to travel from the islands in small boats. The Caribs were very warlike. They used to fight a lot. And the Arawaks, they were very peaceful. They used to grow root provisions and that kind of thing. And so they survived. When the Europeans went, unfortunately, they killed them all. Because your little bow and arrow couldn't fight the guns of the Spaniards who originally went there. How did the Spaniards go there? And this is an important lesson for us to understand. It's an eye-opener. You know, Islam had, let me say, the Muslims had reached their peak in Spain, the Islamic civilization of Spain, where they built Granada Mosque and all these things. After that, what happened? The leaders of the Muslims began showing disunity. and there were fightings, and there were separations. On one hand, and the Christians became united. Ferdinand married Isabella, and then you had the Spanish, the Christian Spain growing. So on one hand, you had the Muslims fighting, and on the other hand, you had the non-Muslims coming together, and it had a disastrous result. When Christianity was teaching that the world was flat, and God stood on the four corners of the earth and he looked at the earth and said it was good, they were teaching the earth was flat. Muslims in Spain, they were teaching geography with a globe, that the earth was round and it was revolving. You see, at that time, so they were scholars, and they understood that, and the Europeans wanted to get the spices from the east. So Columbus came up with the idea, if the world is round, no matter which direction I go, I could reach the east. Maybe I might have to make a bigger round. So he decided to go west, to come around, to get to the east, to get spices. Okay? In that process, the West Indies was discovered. Who helped him? It was the Muslim scholars. They took us prisoners, and they are the one who navigated the boats to go to the west, to come back east. So that is the first thing we need to keep in mind as a reminder to us. Be careful with your relationship with your fellow Muslims, because disunity will lead to destruction. First thing. And unity will bring strength. Recently we had that example in Trinidad. In the month of May, there was election. All the opposition forces united, and they defeated the government. Politically. Unity will bring strength. And that is why, Islam will be strong, because Allah tells us about, you are brethren in faith. You are brethren in faith. Islam teaches universal Islamic brotherhood. If we stay as brothers, look, I am from thousands and thousands of miles away, but I am considered a loving brother from amongst you. The strength of the faith will be with our united effort, and that is something we must never forget. And we must use, for example, what happens in the Caribbean and other places to remind ourselves. That is why Allah says, Siru fil ard, travel in the earth, and you will see what happened to those people when they went astray. فَانْظُرْ كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. And listen, keep that in mind. So my dear friends, but I didn't come to preach theology in that context tonight. I am here to tell you something about what happened with the Caribbean people and how Islam went there. So we had, long before the Europeans discovered the Americas, Muslims used to travel to the west for trading, from West Africa, for trading purposes and for other purposes. So Islam was known to the people there. You have, as a matter of fact, if you go to South America, you will see the Hufaz settled there, and you have mosques and all these things there. Even now, the buildings are there somewhere in the forest and all those things. So after a period of time, and the Europeans began going to the west, the Spaniards decided, let us colonize these people. These people are no good. They plant their flags and they said, in the name of the King of Spain, like when America went up to the moon, they put the American flag. Well, this is our place. The same thing happened. And after some time, they decided, it's tropical country. The land is very rich. Look at this soil. We could do something about it. We could plant sugar cane because we need sugar. So they decided to plant sugar cane. But who will plant the cane? Who will go there? We don't want to work. So let us do something. Let us get cheap labor from outside. So they decided, what was the plan? Hold the Africans and make them slaves and carry them.